All right, y'all, let's get into the capitalistic system and that AI that is here, and the abyss, and the Texas smokescreen ends on 331. The smokescreen ties to this part 2 and 3, and Trump mentioned the scheduling from 1 to the 3, and this 3 is tied to those wild times, and that DeLorean going off that cliff, and then you going into that time machine with the hot tub and the phone and phone booth and all those kinds of things. So let's bring these things together, because the phone booth and then the booth also killed the Lincoln and those types of things for that theater, and we're in that theater as that eighth year of the woman clothed in the sun, and that focal point and those reels and those whatever kinds of things, and as that is real light. That is real light is turning on in different ways, shapes, and forms, and you're going into the darkness, and you're now for that second coming on the trumpets. Now you get the trumpist. So the trumpet sound, the Trump ETs have sound, all these things have sounded for you. Now you have that angel trumpet. I'm going to do another video on the angel trumpet plant, and that Baron Trump and this underground marvelous time traveler thing for this time travel thing, and this time traveler is tying into your Back to the Future Part 2, Biff Tannen. The character is based on him, as according to the right. We've gotten all these things before. So the petroleum, the underworld, the abyss, and all that stuff, pumping these things down, and the subsurface, the earth. We have the as above, so below. We have the sky people, we have the water people, we have all these different types of parasites that we're eating, and then the petrochemical ones made for that parasite for the artificial flavorings and colorings and those types of things, right? Or the chemical dyes that we soak in through our skin, and whatever else is going on that we use that's petroleum based, or when you get gas on your hands, or if you're changing oil, or whatever kind of thing. All right, so all these things are downloadable inputs, and as soon as you touch something or taste something, whatever, you're getting blah blah blah, right? So your taste buds are, it's not 30 seconds like they teach you those kinds of things. It's just, it's instantaneous, but as you submerge, it gets more downloaded, right? So different levels of all this is going on, and since the millennium came, this information came out, the truth movement came out, we can seek for truth, all these types of things, and the heavens at hand, the kingdom's at hand, the heavens likened unto a net, window into heaven, all these things we've gotten into. So we're gathering all this knowledge for 20 years, 25 years, 30 years, depending on, right? Some of us started when we heard these little jokes from George Carlin or whoever about people controlling this, whatever kind of thing, right? So these are all little seeds. They grow into trees. We go into the library. We read. We kind of start our own little garden in our head, right? This image given life. And we have these images given life, this motion picture, this one eye that you can only see through, right? This Illuminati, it's showing you good and bad and all those things, right? You start off with this head, and then you back up, and you can see his whole hips gyrating and all these other things, okay? So the Lone Star State, the incarnation of Christ, that little horn, the incarnation is tying to your petroleum, that oil cartel ran by the so-called Baptists or the Christian community, whatever kind of thing we see with that TPUSA, that TPUSA for that shit serving or rather for that crapture rapture that you're all been left behind. So this is where Trump is tagging over there, and we're in the final capstone, right? The Black Rocks here, the AI going into the darkness, the abyss, everything's the electronic, that's part of the abyss and the underworld or whatever, and this underworld is rising up into the subsurface. We've eaten the parasites with the sushis, we've eaten the parasites with the pork, we've eaten the parasites with the cows, we've eaten the parasites with the chickens. All this is connecting to your elements, and then the elements that they make, but the invasion, so-called, is already here. And some of us have risen up out of these things since these alarms started ringing into us and those trumpets sounded to us, and we're lifted into a high place. No, we can't eat that. I'm sorry. Can't eat that. Sorry, can't drink it. Can't drink. Sorry. And then you're finally shunned by it. You're not invited to anything because you turned vegan for a couple years or whatever years, right? But you're not meant to stay there. It's going to keep you down. You got to get back up and get the knowledge. You're like, hey, we need animal. Right? There's a... Either way, dude. So once we understand the quantum of light and how all these oils are working and the Christos, we can understand the Christos from the ground and the petroleum. We're getting oils from here, and how we get these oils and the oils that we burn in the house, such as candles. Do you get the lard candles? Do you make your own candles from lard and ash, or do you get your make your own soaps, or do you make your own toothpaste? Do you buy the shit with the fluoride? I mean, it's all this stuff that you've been told, right? You haven't been told, or whatever you want to blame it on, but you've been told one way, shape, or form. But it's up to you to go and seek after the truth. But you're just giving over to this one eye. I just can't take my eye off of it. I just gotta watch the whole show. It's still gonna be there when you come back, but this is where these people are gonna start getting these clues and whatever else, and the whole world is gonna be elevated as some of us have come out of it in a way and come back in, and we've been turned on. And this is that illumination. And this is that Illuminati, and this is that is real light, so to speak. So they're spraying the world with the barium and the aluminum. Now that aluminum, that lighter metal, we are regaining our status into the electroconductivity and being up into the heavens, so to speak, because we've been cast down to the ground. So as we're getting these abilities back in different ways, this is steps into heaven, and this is where you have the Mid-East and then the East. And you have to understand that Eden is on earth in the east side, and then you leave Eden and you go to the land of Nod, and that's even more east. All right, so this is where you have this dark heart that's in the Mid-East. It's not in the East or whatever, but it's going back home. And it's going back home far away from what's right. And this is where that incarnation of Christ that we're driving and all these, we're all the bodies and members of that living God. We're all in these cars. And then now we're all being connected through the AI, that one light source and all those things. So this is where that petroleum, the oil cartels, the cartels, all these things are going, and then you have your pharmaceutical cartels, whatever else, right? You have your old pharmakeia, you have your Mother Earth with her pharmakeia, all those things going into that to start up, and some are going out, some are turning on, and this is to start a new heaven and earth, all right? And since everything is light and everything has some sort of oil content in a way, depending how you partake in it, and all these things will depend on where that Christos is. But there's certain plants where we actually extract oils from. So this is going to be more of your antichrist plant, and this is where it comes against the cannabis in a way. And cannabis can produce an oil, and cannabis can start running your new cars, and it can help clean up your land and make so-called 20,000 plus products that we're told. And supposedly it has the ability to cure hundreds of diseases and to protect your brain from brain damage and all these other things. So this is where the plant is going to be used to heal the nation in the coming future, as the people have been given so-called brain damage in a way. And this is all turning the hive at one time in a way, and the ones who are ahead looking back, They're here to get the hive to turn them, and then once it gets turned, then they're going to flip-flop and get caught up in a way, because the first are last and the last are first. So this is where eventually the thing that's been done and the things that's being done with the Ozempic and these Red Queen things that's happened with the Corona, the crowning, and all these things we've gotten into, this will be where it's going into that point when we're going to change and evolve and eventually turn it on to where we live to be 800, 900 years that we're told, all right? Because that script is actually about your future. It's not about your past, or the way they're teaching it is not about your past, all right? And that's just part of that motion picture given life, that part of that delusion that the people are given over to through the religions and all these other things. So the oil, so to speak, that tar pit, the rosin, the sin is the moon god, all the rosin, all that is tying into your Christ and your Christos and going to the cross and rising up out of it and all those things. Then also you have these things going upon the earth as far as the diamonds and the man's the woman's best friend and all those things. The diamonds come from the volcano, and all. You got to go back in to where these things came from. All right, so this is where we can understand where this stuff that they're giving us in a way on the market is shit, right? And that's where like boom, and then it's all of a sudden gone. And this is why they're getting rid of the flour in Texas, and they got to have these battles in different ways, shapes and forms over that Lone Star State, as that Lone Star State is all coming into view and whatever else. But the flour is where the power is, all right? The power in the flour. So this is why they want to take it out in a way, and they're taking out this power, and they're trying to bring in this pharmaceutical tugboat, so to speak. And this is where the pharmaceutical, this industry has set up this thing to go into the pharmaceutical hand. That's why they're scheduling it to the threes or whatever, right? The threes are the bars, and that's even probably more restrictions, and is certainly probably going to get rid of your recreational, and that be like that quake, that Texas quake coming up. These things that are kind of hit Texas are going to reverberate in quakes, so to speak, and they're going to shake the nation. And they may shake it before and after, all of it, but these things that's going on with Iran and them shutting down the oil refineries and these things or whatever going on, and then Trump announcing the oil refinery in South Texas. It's all transfer moments as the underworld is rising, right? It's found its home, and it's going to be, or it's where Texas is or whatever kind of thing. And then you're going to have the that old system come here, and then it's going to separate, and that's where the Asian miners talk about with the prophets and Jesus and all these things, and you go to the Asian minor, and then you shoot up, all right? In the missing years of Jesus, that's when he goes over there and learns that Eastern mysticism, and the Eastern mysticism is brought back to that Western culture, so to speak. The Christians existed before Jesus even walked, all right? That is who he is talking to, basically. You just change the names of the so-called Christians. There's nothing new under the sun. You are under the sun now, under that Church of Amen, that Amen, and that culture is being developed. And as that culture is being developed, that Petro dish, that Petri dish, all those things, that Petri dish and that tree of life and of good and evil and whatever else kind of thing, all right? So all these things are going together. The oil cartel of the Christian community, the Baptist, this Bible Belt that runs the oil and whatever, right? They've been owning this land, and they basically keep their strong arm over their family and the family's family and whatever else through the inheritance. And it's, and they think they own this, that, and the other, and this is where things are being changed and reset, and the control mechanism, that Jubilee. All those things are all lining up. We've already seen that Jubilee, and Aaliyah's here now with the dragon. All right, and the dragons are hatching, and we've already seen the blue dragons hatching on the beaches in Texas. All right, and they kind of look like little crazy drones. But so as all these things are like gathering and collapsing, right? That's where you get an area in Texas or Oklahoma or somewhere in the oil belt from the Dakotas down to Texas, whatever. And then they also do some, Trump says he's opening up in California or whatever, right? We know where the oil wells are. This is where these things are going into this point. And as it comes to this point, it actually goes down, right? And you're emptying it out, and the level, the people are too heavy for the ground and whatever else kind of thing, and it's just going to collapse. All right, and this is a spiritually speaking thing as well, as far as your things you're eating or whatever, because that snap on the neck, all right, and that June fan for the junk food is all going to be hitting the market and those types of things. So this is where the money is energy. You've done all this energy, right? Now they have to transfer their energy. They're rewiring a house, so to speak. They're rewiring the temple. And as they rewire the temple, those of you who have used up all your energy are going to have to go into a rest. Okay? And that's part of that rationing time that comes when the AI and that capitalistic system starts to a foundation of a new world. All right? So this is where they're charging you by the weight. It's just an easy one. Southwest is changing it, assign seats, and then change it. Next is to change by the weight and all these other things. And that weight, and you waited in line, you're going to wait in line in a different way. So as the dark heart is rising into the hearts of man and it's going to turn on, okay, this is where that alienation and that whatever, the pills are the MK Ultra people 100%, right? If they take a pill, they are 100% controlled in one way, shape, or form. All right, so just an easy one. You have had chances to gain the knowledge to get out of this shit. All right, so shouldn't be really having these kinds of problems. If you need a doctor, it's because you got hurt or you got cut or whatever kind of thing. You don't. But this is also kind of needed as man is going into Earth 2.0. Okay, and we are living in the most amazing time right now as we have an overlay of worlds. And we are actually seeing so-called aliens here. And you have people in Africa living in the bush, in the tribe, so to speak, that we are shown. And we are basically taking that magical scroll on that, given to you by that burning bush and whatever else, right? And we're giving it to the people down there in Africa. And we got a new coming to America in a flip-flop fashion. But possibility of that Babylon has fallen and parts of Oklahoma, Texas, Kansas, whatever else kind of thing, falling in as all these things come together is a very high chance. You have the sleeper cells that awaken in that American dream for that American nightmare I've gotten into before. So that's where all these things go together and it pushes out anew, and you have this over here and this over here as far as the Mideast, right? You go to the west to the east as far as that Asia Minor for the crypto, right? And then you rise up out of the crypt. So that's where you have this negative and the cross over here rising up. And then the Justin Sun is tied to the World Liberty Financial with the T-Rex and Trump with the T-Rex and all those things. And then the cannabis, the medical cannabis, all that stuff tying into insurance paying for it and making a new, and y'all just thought we were rich, so to speak, okay? We're at the birth of that new time frame, and America has been a birth to this new world order. Now the new world is turning into America. Now America has to shut down in a way and transform and go into the new way, and the BRICS is that road through Oz to get through Oz and all that into the new world, and it's a bridge system. It's a bridge within a bridge and those kinds of things. As you're on Earth, right? You're going into Eden. You're always on Earth. You got to realize you always have access. You can always go in and out, right? This is where it tells you, I think, either in Proverbs or Psalms, that you can go in and out of hell. But the church don't like to teach these types of things because they like to be that shining light and keep you in fear. If they keep you in fear, then they can control you. So, but that hell is basically in the bondage, being controlled by your enemy and another man. And this is where this slave system, this capitalistic system, is all going into where their one leader is, their one consciousness is all being gathered. Then they're doing it to themselves and all that, right? It's the bridegroom situation. You're married to the situation, the Mother Earth and the data that it collects and all that stuff as it's pushing these things out into another segment of reality. All right. The oil within us and the oil on the earth, the oil underneath, the oil in the sky, the oil in the air that we breathe, the things we burn in our house as far as candles, what kind of candles, outside in the smoke, when y'all sit on a fire, the smoke always seems to always like fly in your eyes or whatever. So all these things are giving us different types of oils and gas and whatever else and it's light. It's just everything is light, and as we have these things and they contain oil, we burn these things and we can consume some of this stuff in different ways. We got olive oil, we got cannabis oil that's within the plant. We have tobacco has oils as well. The oils we eat, as far as the petrochemicals or the drinks we drink, if they're what they're stored in, what we eat them with, cooking them in the microwave with plastic, all this stuff is mattering, okay? And as it's mattering, that light is condensing, and we can see how it's condensing in people and how they matter, all right? So it's the oil's been taken out, the tree's been taken out, the knowledge has been taken out, the light's been taken out, and it's all been replaced. So as it's all been replaced, it's all being lit up with a dark light. But some of us have stepped out of that dark light or went through these tunnels in life and whatever else, and we've stepped out through the other side. And we no longer partake in the world that y'all partake in. We've stepped out of it. And we're just kind of passing through at the moment, just waiting for this shit to end, because we're basically living in hell at the moment, because we can't go and partake in the world. Is just because It's not in the way that y'all are. As far as the food and stuff, because the serpent's cast through the belly, and these parasites that we eat and the things, we've had opportunity to learn knowledge, and it's through working with a garden and going into the garden where and learning about the living soils and these things, and just knowing like hydroponics and just knowing about all this different stuff with gardening or whatever, right? When we see these things and understand how to fix these things, we can better understand ourselves and better understand how we can fix ourselves and where all this stuff comes in. And the food you eat is only probably 1/5 or whatever of what you actually need to live. And the serpent being cast to the belly, especially in these most corrupt times, with every single thing revolving around food or drink and these things, then it's very easy to control and change population. And this magical scry, this dark device made electric, this petroleum that has a light within it that burns, and it's a dark sun underneath the earth, and it's coming to the surface.